thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Today is Global Politics Horizon. Today we have a very special guest in the name of Mr. Peter Obi. Many of you are very, very familiar with him, and we're very happy to have him back here again. We had him here before the elections, and we are very excited to have Mr. Obi back. So we're going to dive right into it immediately. And Chioma, can you go ahead with the first question?
Absolutely. Mr. Obi, you've proposed the unbundling of INEC, which is the Independent National Electoral Commission, in order to improve its effectiveness. Could you outline specific areas within INEC that you would like to restructure, and how would that restructuring contribute to an increased or enhanced effectiveness of the electoral process?
Well, let me start by thanking you. Well, as it is now, I'm just in Washington or Maryland, as the case may be, for a thank you tour. I wasn't even expecting an interview, but being that I found myself in it, I have no alternative than to provide answers to your question. And thank you for the opportunity. For me, when I talked about the unbundling of INEC, specifically because it's specific areas, first is that the national body, as it is today, independent body, supposed to be, it is not entirely independent. It's today, you can call it an agency of the federal government, which it is what it is, but it requires to be totally independent in terms of its appointment of personnel and those that man it. Supposed to be independent in terms of clear laws, supposed to be independent in stating how to conduct election. And for me, when I talk about unbundling, INEC at the national level, independent electoral commission national level, should conduct national election. At the state level, we should have a similar thing that conducts the state level elections. You don't have a national body in America that conducts the election for the various states. Do you have it?
No.
Thank you. So if we say we're practicing American presidential system of democracy, we should practice it the way it's supposed to be. So that we have a body at the state level that conducts the state election. The national body conducts presidential, Senate, and House of Representatives election. And the state body conducts the governorship, House of Assembly, and local government election. With that, you make it more effective. They are not even now trying to add local government election to INEC instead of having the state body. So instead of creating institutions and making them strong, we are bringing a unitary form of existence of institutions that should be evolved within the state level.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, to further dive in more into that question, we talk about election results. What specific reforms do you believe are necessary to ensure that election results accurately reflects the will of the voters? And how do you propose the opposition should collaborate to achieve these reforms?
Well, it's a very simple thing. It's already there in existence in the, call it rules, call it laws, call it anything that is. When INEC was, even the chairman was going around the world preaching that everything will be real time, if I use his word, So, this is not rocket science. It's happening globally. We're a giant of Africa. It's happening in other smaller countries in Africa where election results reflects the will of the people. And I don't think we need to do more than just having people who are determined to do the right thing.
As President Tinubu's administration nears its 1-year mark, you've been critical of some of its priorities and some things that they've done. What do you think are the biggest issues so far under his presidency, and what would you do differently to address those issues?
Well, I think this question will go to Nigerians. It's better you ask the people. Since you have opportunity of interviewing people, you ask them, how do you feel in this government 1 year after? And just even Nigerians here, because they know they can feel the pulse. It's easy to assess government anywhere in the world. Just how do the people feel? It's about the people. It's not about me. It's not about anybody. It is the people that you ask, how do you feel? Is there improvement? So they can tell you, okay, things have improved. Things are getting. I go around, when I come to America, when I arrived since yesterday, I go around in places. I was in church this morning. I go to restaurant again. When I get back, I say, how is everything? How are things and everything? I do the same thing when I go to Britain. How do you feel about this government? The people are the ones to give you an answer. If the people feel good, then it's good. People feel bad, then it is bad. So if you ask Nigerians this question, whatever they tell you is what is happening. So the assessment is not about me. Oh, listen, what I'm criticizing is things I found out that we're not prioritizing use of our resources. I think today Nigeria is not doing well in the critical areas of development. And resources should be channeled there. That's me.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Now, in reviewing recent examples of government overspending and governance missteps, such as the excessive delegates at the Corporate 28 and the allocation of funds for residences, what is it that the Tinubu administration does not seem to grasp, or what would you advise them in terms of managing resources better? How would you handle that?
That's exactly what I just said before, that you need to cut the resources. You need to cut waste and be able to channel it to critical areas of development. Funds should go to health, education, and pulling people out of poverty.
Yes, but they seem to know that already. That is something that's known. Why do you think it's not being implemented? It's obviously something that each government that comes.
How will I know why it's not implemented? That's why I'm there saying we're on the wrong track. We're on the wrong track. We should be going this way, not this way.
How do you respond to the recent statement by Mr. Atiku regarding a potential merger between the PDP and LP, and possibly supporting you as a candidate for as a Southeast candidate in the 2027 presidential election?
Well, for me, I commend him, and I'm grateful for his statements, especially where he said he will support me if he goes to the Southeast. On issue of merger, coming together of parties, I always said, as long as any merger or any coming together is for a better Nigeria, for a new Nigeria, for governing properly, I'm for it. If it's just merger for election or state capture, I'm not part of it. I want to be part of anything. Like I always say, I'm not desperate to be president. I'm desperate to see Nigeria work, especially for the poor people, because we have a lot of potentials. So if the merger is to be able to govern Nigeria properly, unlock all those things that will make Nigeria a better place, I'm for it. It might be at party level, it might be at individual level, it might be at any level, but we must come together to be able to build a better Nigeria.
Cohesiveness of political parties is something that's always very difficult to do. How do you envision, supposing this actually happens, how do you envision this potential interaction and collaboration? And the second question to that is, do you believe Mr. Atiku to be sincere in this request?
Well, I cannot doubt his sincerity. Neither can I doubt him, but I've just told you, when you talk about cohesion, not coming together or cohesion not being possible and everything, for me, if the purpose is same, coming together is very easy. It is when we have a divergent or different purpose that it becomes difficult. If the purpose is the same, we are going to the same destination, we don't have any problem.
Great. Now, but political parties, the PDP and the LP, I believe, have different mandates and different political beliefs. Having a cohesion of two...
Quite frankly, I don't think any party in Nigeria are different from the other.
Okay.
It's just human being. Quite frankly, because I don't know anyone that have ideology that is different from the other, quite frankly.
Wow.
You know, so I think individuals, there are parties that have not reached that level of ideological differences.
Okay.
I don't hide. We're basically the same thing. Labor, we might have it in writing, but we have not achieved it in behavior. So, and since we have not achieved it in behavior, we remain the same. So what we need now is to look for individuals that are thinking alike, that believe that where we are is not where we should be, that where we are can be improved, and work together to improve that. Because we can't be with our children, and Nigeria can be better.
Another follow-up to that question. Within your party, there has been a lot of hoopla in terms of your chairmanship, between different factions. You have the Aburi faction, and then you have the Lamidi faction. Now, that has obviously caused a fray in between both sides.
I think we've found that.
Yes. But there are still parties that believe that your party, the Labour Party, is not cohesively together.
Well, you see, there's a problem in every other party, and there's a problem in Labour Party. The problem is, I always say that we're living what we're supposed to be talking about and giving all the time to what should not bother us. We have a problem in Nigeria. We should be talking about the problem, not about our parties. For me, I have been in parties that had problems in the past. When I was in APCA, I had problems for years. When I had the opportunity of being governor, the problem was there. I faced my job as governor. I faced the job of doing the job Anambra State elected me for. And people are saying to me, if there's this problem in Nigeria, so how will you have been able to, in your party, have been able to govern? I said, it doesn't bother me. That is not what Nigerian people did not vote for me to go and resolve party problems or deal with party issue. I'm not the party chairman, I'm not anything. I am an elected person who is supposed to deliver based on what I promised, based on what is in my manifesto.
Building on that, let's talk about, you've been very vocal, we need to put more investment in education, in healthcare, and infrastructure, and there's just so much to do. How do you plan to mobilize resources? What would you tackle first? What's your priorities there?
You see, people talk about mobilizing resources, mobilizing. First is that you have to efficiently manage what is there, which is not happening now. When he was talking about resources being diverted to renovations,
Right.
building new offices, buying vehicles, doing this. Those resources should first be channeled to critical areas of development. There's areas that you use to measure development: health, education, putting people out of poverty. The more you the more you invest money in these critical areas, the more you're able to generate more resources from the people. If the people are healthy, they're productive, just like more you put people out of poverty, the more you can get revenue. How do you get revenue here in America? From taxes.
True.
Taxes will only be paid if the people are working. If they're not working, will they pay tax? So you need to, whenever people talk about revenue generation, what I tell them is that it's like bank account. You can't withdraw if you haven't paid anything in. You can't just walk into the bank and say, I've come to take money. From which account? That's what they will ask you. What's your account number? And when you look at your account number, you must have paid something in. That's the way government does. They invest in critical areas of development. It's been proven that the more a society is, the more educated, the more developed. Same thing, if they're healthy, they're productive, people are working, you earn more revenue. In Nigeria, you can't go to my village, can't go to your village, can't go to everywhere and tell people who are unemployed. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. So it is same thing. And this is something that has been done all over globally. So it is not that difficult to do it.
So in all that you said, where do you start? Is it job creation? Is it education? Or
simultaneously. You can't start in one.
Okay.
You just mobilize the resources and put in the three of them. And like you said, I have an opportunity to serve at the subnational level. We're investing in health, we're investing in education, we're investing in pulling people out of poverty by creating rural roads and everything. We're not busy building mansions. We shut down our last lodge, governor's lodge in Abuja, shut down cost of governance, shut down in order to mobilize the resources to critical areas of development.
Great. Mr. Obi, critics have accused you of not building schools during your tenure as governor of Anambra State. Can you elaborate on the initiatives that you implemented to improve the educational systems in Anambra during your tenure? And why do you think there's this misconception that's obviously being floated around?
I actually built a lot of, they said building schools. I don't know whether building schools or building infrastructures in school. I don't know what they actually want. If you look at what I've done, I've actually built a lot of schools. But I don't need to answer that. If they read my manifesto, before I became governor, Anambra State was very low in education. In fact, schools were closed for 2 years. People did not go to school. We were low in rating. And while I was there, when I came, if you read my manifesto, what I told you now was areas where I said I'm going to deal with. And we moved from 20-something in number to number 1. Go and get, even today, go and get even cutoff point. Anambra is the highest. We're number 1 to today. You know, maybe
what were the specific what reforms that you implemented to achieve that you think that can?
I don't know. I wish any of you are from Anambra State. I wish you are. So you call your town and I'll tell you what I did in your town in education. All the schools, we have about 500 secondary schools. Let me start with secondary schools.
Okay.
All the 500 secondary schools had what I can call, were computerized. We had buses. We had support in terms of teachers. We had generators to make sure they have light. Those who needed boreholes, we give them boreholes. There's nothing, I don't know how I will start to tell you. I visited all of them at least twice, physically. Look at the infrastructures. Look at what is happening with them. Ensure that they have things that is required for learning. And that's, I can go on and on. No school, as at the time, maybe it's happening now, no state, I can say categorically in Nigeria, where you were able to equip the schools the way we did. No state. No state will you say the schools had brand new buses too. No school had, will you say all the secondary schools had generator. No place, when we bought our computers, desktop, everything from HP, which is still there, as at the time, they said no government in Africa have bought this quantity from them. In fact, the vice president for Africa and Middle East came the day we launched it to give, they will give it away to schools. So there's a lot of improvement. We put internet in all the secondary schools. So it can go on and on. A university, I built a university college campus in a place called Ibariam from the scratch, cutting the forest. I built a teaching hospital from the fastest teaching hospital ever built in Nigeria was built under my tenure in 2 years from the scratch. It's today in Oka. You can go there. These are things you can see. They're physical. They're not promised and everything. When I started, we didn't have a state library. I built one. It's there in Oka. You can go and see it. And I can go on and on in areas where in health was the same thing. We didn't have one single school of nursing, midwifery, or school of health technology that was accredited. Today, we have over a dozen. They were all supported, accredited while I'm there. So you can go and, these are things that are, I'm telling you the things that are verifiable. You can go and see it. So when somebody comes and says, oh, you didn't build a secondary school. Why do I have to build a secondary school when there's secondary school all over the place that we are in bad shape and protected, and I go and build a new one? That is the problem of Africa. That is the problem because there's corruption. Because people want to start their own. If you want, there's so many existing ones. Anambra is not a place where you go and say, oh, there's no secondary school. There are secondary schools all over the place. But they were in bad shape. Their structures, everything have collapsed. Things were not working. There's nothing. So I needed to rebuild them. And I rebuilt them. And if you go there, you see buildings that were all built. If you collect them together, I would have killed about hundreds of secondary schools. But I didn't need to. It's a state I know every community. I visited every community. I didn't say I visited every. I visited every single community in Anambra State as governor at least twice while I was there. So I know what every community needed, and I provided it. They have secondary schools, visited the secondary school, saw it, saw what they were there, and tried to do something. So I don't need to build a new one. Fantastic. Even at that, there's some new ones that were set up while I was there, and I supported it, and I can show, and I can say, we did this in education. And to prove it, we became number one. If you go to the secondary schools today, they still tell you, Mr. Obi did this, Mr. Obi did this. And since I left over 10 years ago, it is still the same generator that I gave them that they have. It's still the same vehicles that I gave them. It's still the same. So, what else will I do?
I just want to also just, just hop back on what you were talking. You talked about what you've done in the past. Recently, you've been making a lot of inroads, talking about boreholes, about having them in multiple parts of the country. Where do you expect to find the funding for that, and why boreholes?
Well, boreholes is not what it should be by this time and age. We should be talking about potable water and everything.
Yes.
But as a temporary measure, you need to do something. And that temporary measure is borehole.
Why?
Because to do the other one takes time. The people can't wait for long time. So whenever they talk about development, there's short term, medium term, long term. Short term is borehole. Then you can put small scheme and then you go to large scheme, like it is here. So I'm talking about what can serve immediately. When you see people, when you go around the country and see people drinking, I don't know how to describe it, what you can imagine. Some people don't even have a toilet. It's almost impossible. So you need to help them with borehole. And I've said I did what I call borehole challenge. I didn't say I'm going to do it. I did what I call education challenge. When I talked about these two things, and I need to describe it so you will understand. In Nigeria, when I found out during my tour that you need to give people water, because it's critical, and borehole is a short-term solution, and it cost me about 5 million naira to set up one. And I said, okay, if it cost me 5 million naira, that means call it maximum 10 million. If Nigeria as it is today, go and look at our inequality, it's one of the worst in the world. I believe that 1% of Nigeria population control about over 70% of the national wealth, which shouldn't be. And I said 0.1 to 1%. I used 200 million. So I said 2 million people. I used 0.1%. I said this 0.1% is 200,000.
Yes.
If these 200,000 people, they can afford 10 million annually, and they decide to go and sink boreholes in different parts of the country.
What is it? What is it to them? Is it a form of corporate social responsibility? Why should they?
That's it, because they're giving back to society. Because I believe we all live there.
Is more tax write-off or something? Because obviously, why would I want to do that?
Whatever you call it, people do that every year.
Yeah, they do that here. Obviously.
People do it all over the world.
Yeah.
So we should do it as well. So they can go and find anywhere they can and put a borehole.
Okay.
Telling what I said about education, we have about 20 million out of school children. They are mostly in the north. We talk about the school children today. The least state is Anambra State.
Okay.
Just about of school children.
Yes.
And let me even tell you further. People are talking about schools in Anambra State. When I became governor, the problem in Anambra State is male drop out of schools.
Why?
Go and check. The boys will know we are going to market to trade. They were all going to market to trade. It was one of the things that I reversed. Because I came from trading, because I was a trader, I was able to go around preaching to people and saying, I came from here and I'm educated. So your children must go back to school. We want educated traders.
Can you emphasize on the north?
So I'm just saying,
yeah.
So it's more in the north.
The Almajiri kids.
Almajiri kids. I spent time in the north with these people, these young kids, learning Quran. And I could see in them doctors, lawyers, engineers, top scientists. Because if you see them, how they learn the Quran, how they were able to memorize the Quran, how they were able to, you could see that these are intelligent, talented kids. But they're not in a formal school. So my take is that since these kids can't go to formal school, we should take school to them. Where they're learning Quran, we should introduce English teacher, science teacher, mathematics teacher. All those basic things should be there. And we did study it by looking at 3 of them. The cost implication.
Yes.
Even those who were teaching the Quran were not being paid. In the 2 places I went, the third place they were paid. And they just paid about 10,000, 15,000 naira. So I put a cost of employing about 6 to 8 teachers, which includes the Quran, the one that teaches Quran, English, this, at the cost of 50,000 naira each. Since they're not even being paid at all. And I put other costs of running the facility I visited. One had about 55 people, the other one had about 60 people, one had about 58 people there. So when I put the cost, it came to about 6 million naira. I rounded it off to 10 million again. And I said, if these 200 people that I'm targeting can again decide
2 million.
No, not 2 million. I'm not targeting 2 million. I said I'm targeting 0.1%.
Okay.
1% is 2 million.
Okay.
But I want 0.1%, 200,000.
Okay.
If 200,000 of them can decide to again, as a contribution to a better society, tomorrow, invest 10 million. We have 10 of such, we have 200 of such facilities, 200,000 such facilities. If we can put in 10 million, 200,000 of such facilities, taking 50 people each, that's 10 million. That's almost more than half of out-of-school children. The problem you're seeing in Nigeria today, especially in the north, are people we did not educate yesterday, are people who did not pull out of poverty yesterday. And the same thing is what is happening in the south and everywhere. Those we did not educate, pull out of poverty, have become a problem for us, and we say we have insecurity. So in order not to increase that tomorrow, we need to start investing today. And again, we're talking about revenue. 20 million people. The Nigerians that we're talking about diaspora today. Nigerian diaspora, I don't think they're not more than, they're up to 20 million.
No.
Thank you. So if less than 20 million is actually giving us today remittances of about $20 billion.
$20 billion.
Imagine if we're able to train these 18-20 million out of school children and export them. That is double the revenue. So there's a lot we can do. We're investing in them for our own future. And that, for me, is what we should be doing.
What I really liked about your answer when you highlighted what you did as governor of Anambra is that you said, these are not promises, these are things that I did. You can go there and check the record. As president, when you now factor in regional differences, you visited the North, you see, regional differences and controversy, all of that, how does your approach change? How do you make sure everyone feels included under your presidency?
Very easy, because the same thing you did when you were governor. You were able to move around and talk to the people and sit down to them. engagement, involvement.
Well, there's a level of distrust in Nigeria with the different ethnic groups. It's something that needs to be built upon. What makes your approach
quite frankly,
different?
the ethnic differences and religious differences we have in Nigeria is elite mechanism for state capture.
Can you?
I'm maintaining it. Yes. Because we have chosen not to elect or select them, or, because we have chosen not to elect or ensure that our leaders come from the process, that is the proper process, we use all those things as a yardstick for selection. Here, the reason why it's not happening in any other part of the world is that people are elected based on simple things: character, integrity, competence, capacity, compassion, and everything. So once you remove the proper measure or yardstick for anything, people throw in anything they can. So it's better for me, since I'm not qualified, let me talk about my ethnicity. Since I don't have the capacity, let me talk about my religion. Since I don't have this, so all those things coming. Nigeria is not the biggest Muslim country in the world. It is actually Indonesia. They don't do election in Indonesia talking about religion. We're not the most multi-ethnic society in the world. It's actually Indonesia, but again, Indonesia have more ethnic groups than Nigeria. They don't use it as a year. And I can tell you other countries, even here in America, there's so many different, you won't call it in any group, but different
Actions, yeah.
But yes, if you want to go and talk to them, maybe where you have more Latinos or this, you don't go and start saying they are a Latino. You start telling them what you can do, what is going to benefit them from the government. You don't just go there and say I'm a Latino and think they will follow you. So many Latinos have failed. You don't go and say, same thing goes everywhere in the world. But because I've been saying, is there any group that buys bread cheaper in Nigeria? No. You can go, because of corruption, you can get your people to steal more money or give them government position. When you go, you actually worsen the whole thing. What we need is to elect people through the proper means. I've always said the process through which people come into office is far more fundamental than what they do in office. So we need to elect people who are competent, who have the capacity, who have the character, verifiable integrity. It's not just preaching you have, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. No. Where have you passed? So we can know that I can say I've been a chairman, a director and chairman of a bank. When there's a lot happening in that industry that people can be accused. I've been a governor. I've managed public resources. And at the end, I was able to say I saved $150 million. It's no other person in Nigeria today can claim that. Left at something billion naira. And everybody knows nobody can leave what you can steal. Especially when you have the authority to steal it without being questioned. So let people tell me where they've passed through. I've passed through here and I was able to do this. We measure it. That's what people measure here. I've been to schools. Nobody has said, while he was in school, he cheated in his exam, he has stolen, he did this. These are things you record and look at and everything.
Competence obviously is something that's I think that's extremely important. We see it in the West based on your antecedents or where you've worked. Within the Nigerian system and in terms of political parties, it's not been reflected where people where that's the most important thing. Things like how an individual, how long they've been in the party and they've been working with a specific party within the system reflects having in terms of godfatherism and those type of things. Yes, the ideal based on what you said, competence is obviously based on what you've done, is something that should matter. But in a system like Nigeria, where it's not something that is the most important thing in many cases, I obviously years ago had advocated in terms of an article that I feel that the president of Nigeria should be someone that has run a bank. Maybe because I came from a Wall Street background. The reason why is a bank ATM works in Sambisa Forest, or a bank ATM works in Kebbi State, works in Anambra State, works in Lagos State. So the fact that you can get technology to work, you understand the people you hire in these specific states, you are able to work with people and you're able to get things to work. There's a level of competence that is there. My question to you is that why is competence, I mean obviously it might be a cliche question, why is competence not something that is obviously very important to parties, political parties in Nigeria? Because if it was, then you would have the best and the brightest minds running for office, and then you would not have this issue.
Well, let me even correct something. I won't say issue with someone who have worked in banks.
No, that is my position.
That is their position, okay,
Yeah,
because without challenge, we have had some criminals in the banks.
No.
So I would say we need the people from the banks. We need people of integrity. Managing public wealth, it requires a high level of integrity.
Okay.
It requires a high level of contentedness. Because like I said, it's difficult for you to keep what you can take. I've been through it. I've been in the bank myself. So I know what it is when you're a bank chairman and you can do anything with the bank resources, can even lend it to yourself, do all sorts of things and everything. But you said, no, this cannot happen. So I know what it is. But it is important for us to look at where we are and look at what is lacking. The only problem Africa, Nigeria in particular today have, it is not the air, like Chinua Achebe said. It is not the weather. It is not the environment. It is only one thing: leadership. It is not having quality leadership that can rise to the job. Since that is the only problem, that is what we should focus on to get it right. And I think it is for everybody. That is why we should disemphasize other areas, issues of religion, issues of this, because like I said before, no religion buys bread cheaper globally. No tribe buys bread cheaper. No. What makes a system work is competent leadership, that's integrity, because they will now know how to galvanize resources, invest it properly for the people.
So I'd just like to get into a few other things. Mr. Obi, how do you address the accusations made by the Minister Dave Umahi regarding your alleged incitement of the people of the Southeast against the federal government?
Well, there's no comment there because there's no evidence to such things. So, how? If you have anything to prove that or anything to do that, I don't need to incite anybody against. What am I inciting? There's no difference between the people in the Southeast and the people in the Southwest.
Great.
Is there a difference?
No, there's not. There's not.
If there's a difference, so why am I inciting them?
He's saying that the Lagos Calabar, obviously the project that's being worked on, that your statements on that project are.
My statement on it is one statement that is a because I'm the one who made it. I won't use the word exemplary. All that I said is what I did even as a governor. There's so many existing roads that are in disrepair. So many that require the construction. There's some that are women that are not motorable. We already have a network of roads that need to be repaired, reconstructed, and everything. And I said, we don't need to start new ones. When Biden came here, he did something, he said he's going to improve the infrastructure. Did he say he's going to start new ones?
No infrastructure plan, yeah, you're right.
He said he's going to, that American infrastructure is decaying. He needs to improve it. He didn't say they're going to start new ones. We think that they open new ones through the seas and everything. It's so that the existing one, this is something that we have been glad. I remember telling somebody in America, I wish they can give us this one they want to repair. So we can take it and put it in our place so that I can have repair new ones because, that's what we need. But today, are you from Nigeria?
Yes, I am from Nigeria.
Which part of Nigeria?
Imo State.
Thank you. You can't drive from Owerri to Port Harcourt. Just Owerri to Port Harcourt. If you're driving from Owerri to Port Harcourt, the Owerri end of it will take you, you'll be going through the bush, coming out, everything, to just get there. And it's not up to 20 kilometers. Cut me anywhere. I'm convinced. You can call your people tomorrow and let somebody go there, verify. Are you from Nigeria?
Yes.
Which one?
Imo State.
Oh, the same Imo State. So, you can't drive that. You can't leave that and you cannot drive from Kano to Medugri. I was in Kaduna a few weeks ago. The Kaduna bypass will take you hours. You cannot go from Abuja to Lokoja. You can't drive from Lokoja to Auchi. You can't go from Auchi to Benin. The East-West Road has not been completed. You can't even drive from Benin to Sapele to Warri. You can't go from Calabar to Uyo. I can go on and on. Let's fix all this. Can't drive today from Enugu to Nsukka. You can't go from Nsukka, where we call Ubolafo, to Otugbo. Can't go from Otugbo to Makurdi. These roads are in a mess. You need to fix them. So we have enough network of roads that are already existing. Same thing, Lagos, Ibadan. Can't go to Ibadan. There's a place you can't drive to. Go to Ijabode, Benin, all the. No. So why are we starting new one? And I stand by it. If I was voted into office, I told them, even in our manifesto, we're not going to start anything new. Let's fix. And that's what I was telling you about when they talk about education, roads, everything in Anambra State. What I did, when I came in, some of the roads were started by my predecessor, Dr. Chris Ngige. I completed it. He's there. People of Anambra can tell you. Even to prove that I completed, I measured where he stopped and did my own. So, and then all the existing roads. And then started opening the rural areas where the roads did not exist again. I started opening it up. Built a maintenance agency to maintain them, because one of the problems we have in Nigeria is that people think you can construct a road and it stays forever. No. In this country, you will see them every 5 years. they are relaying a road that even it's done everywhere in the world. In Nigeria, you build a road, people will say, oh, the road Peter Obi built has failed. I left government 10 years ago. The road is not forever. This building, this hotel, every 4 or 5 years, they refurbish everything. Otherwise, the hotel will fall, it will collapse.
But it should be, obviously, there should be some revenue being generated by the roads to be able to maintain it. The federal government can't, obviously, be able to take care of every single road, so maybe tolls are some things that...
Nigeria have not said they will not pay tolls. When the toll gates were there, they were paying. If you do a good road in Nigeria today, Nigerians will pay toll. It is government. They can do it. They can do it based on the toll system, partnering strategically with those that can build the roads and collect the toll. But they won't do it because of obvious things.
Which are?
Corruption.
Okay, well, I'll leave that alone. I'll go back to Chioma for the sake of time.
In addressing another allegation, the Vice President has accused you of engaging in divisive rhetoric because you criticize the government's spending priorities. How do you respond to those allegations?
Well, I don't need to make comment on that. Just the same thing I said. It doesn't. There's no evidence to that. If I said you need to put money here and remove money here, that's not criticism. I'm only just saying what is right. You know, where we're building students' hostel. We're building the student hostel with 1 billion. Students' hostel, 12 tertiary institutions. We're spending 1 billion to build students' hostel, but we have 6 billion or 15 billion.
15 billion.
To build 15 billion to build. Let me use Vice President House. Today in Nigeria, we have the highest number of homeless people globally, 24 million. Go and check it out.
But
and you're building a house for one person with that amount.
But they said that
is the criticism. That's all.
But they said the money was already appropriated.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When I became governor, monies were already appropriated for things that I changed. I said, no, we can't use these resources for this because we need it for something else. That's what makes you a leader. Being able to say things are wrong. I had my office. 298 million naira was appropriated for it. I did everything for 43,200,000. I had my lodge. 486 million. I did everything with 81 million. And I can go on and on. The office of First Lady that was already appropriated. I said, no, we don't need it. We shut it down. We already have appropriation to maintain our lodge now, but I shut it down. That's what makes you a leader. A leader finds solution to problems.
Fantastic. Getting towards the end of this interview, I wanted to get into, obviously, your future plans. And looking back in hindsight, there's a question that you ran for the presidential. We were lucky enough to have you. There was a lot of excitement with your candidacy, and young people everywhere in Nigeria and in diaspora and all parts of Nigeria came out and voted for you. Looking back now and having had enough time, a year after the results and the swearing of the current administration, what do you think you could have done different in terms of the way you ran, in terms of the way you obviously applied yourself? Pretty much having looked at hindsight being 2020, what do you think you could have done differently?
Nothing. I would have done the same thing. Nothing, because we were able to say the right things, say the course to the end. People voted for us. Notwithstanding what happened, we're there. All I urge people is that we should stay together until we dismantle this criminality. Today you see them trying to preach, divide people, use the resources to this. For me, I remain sacrosanct to a new Nigeria. The way it is today will lead us to nowhere.
Are you committed to running in the 2027 presidential election?
Well, my commitment now is to see that people put food on their table. And that things are better. That's why I'm going around helping schools, health facilities, boreholes, like you said, and everything, and all that.
Well, that's it for us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We appreciate having Mr. Obi here. Despite his very busy schedule, he took the time out to come in and talk to us. We are very excited to hear his perspective and look forward to
continuing the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
NoireTV, showing on Verizon Fios channel 269, Optimum channel 1100, and on Digicel. Or on our website www.noiretv.com, or download the app from the App Store or Play Store.